Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Physics of the Mystics, an incredible podcast, educational, exciting, motivating. We talk about science, quantum physics. We talk about the most recent discoveries in the field of science and how, in truth, it's all been already recognized and discussed in the books of the mystics, Kabbalah, and Hasidus. My name is Rabbi Shlomo Ezagui, and I'm a rabbi here in Palm Beach County, South Florida, for the last 35 years. Been around the block. I've learned. I've been a student, and I'm sharing some of that incredible wisdom and education here on this podcast. I've authored two books, Maimonides' Advice for the 21st Century, and it draws all the incredible, great wisdom from the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, Maimonides' Code of Jewish Law, 14 volumes, Code of Jewish Law, the Mishnah Torah, incredible information on what is considered the right path, the moral path, the path of values. I've also authored another book, a spiritual soul book, and you can get a little taste of what's in that book of over 800 pages and 300 chapters by going to the website, Times of Israel, their blog page, and I upload two chapters from my book, a spiritual soul book, on that website at Times of Israel blog page, and you can get a good taste of what you could learn and read in my book, a spiritual soul book. Now I'm working on this new book, Physics of the Mystics, and while I'm doing it, I'm sharing this information with you on this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about hemoglobin, iron, oxygen, the four subunits of the heme protein. We're going to talk about a lot of great and interesting and exciting things. But before I do that, I'd like to remind everybody to send me your emails to this very special email address I have for this podcast, physicsofthemystics@gmail.com. And when you send me your email with suggestions or feedback or just empty to physicsofthemystics@gmail.com, I'll have your email address for this subject, everything related only to this subject, and I will include you in a raffle for a $260 free Amazon gift card, which we will do around Hanukkah time. So please send me your email address, your feedback, your suggestions, and I've already heard from literally all over the globe. Can't even tell you how many countries I've already heard from. Please keep on sending me your emails to physicsofthemystics@gmail.com, and I will put you into this $260 free gift card from Amazon, and I will be doing this, God willing, around Hanukkah time. Okay, let's get on to today's subject, and it's all about hemoglobin. And we're going to talk about hemoglobin and how it relates to the mystics, because I'm not a science teacher and I'm not either a doctor, but from the simple knowledge that I've acquired, I've recognized from what I am a professional in, and that's mysticism and Jewish law, the relationship that I'm reading in science and with mysticism and with Jewish law. So, what is hemoglobin? For those that are not familiar with it, hemoglobin is a protein which is used in red blood cells, and it is very, very vital to life. It's in all vertebrates, and it does what it does is that it stores and it transports oxygen. It brings the fuel to the body, to the lungs, and to the capillaries. It removes the exhaust. It's responsible for carrying almost all the oxygen in our blood. And it is found in many, many multicellular organisms, such as mammals. So this hemoglobin, it is composed of a protein which is called heme. And this heme molecule is what binds to the oxygen that is carried around the entire body. More specifically, this oxygen binds to the iron that is in the heme. And when the oxygen binds to the iron that is in the heme, this forms an octahedral iron complex. So the iron takes on a special kind of a form, which is called an octahedral. What is an octahedral? An octahedral is something that has 8 plane surfaces, has like 8 faces, 8 sides to it. So we're talking about over here the hemoglobin, which is composed of a protein called heme. The heme contains iron, and it's the iron that attaches to the oxygen. When that happens, the iron forms into this octahedral, 8 sides and 8 faces. And as you all know, when the heme, which contains iron, connects to the oxygen, oxygen on the periodic table of elements happens to be number 8 as well. We're already forming here some kind of a little bit of a connection going on over here. Now, this hemoglobin is made up of 4 polypeptide subunits. Okay, it's a little bit of fancy words, but don't worry. I'm just going to make a point, and the point everybody that is listening to this podcast is going to be able to take from Physics of the Mystics podcast. So these polypeptide subunits, there are 2 alpha subunits and 2 beta subunits. There's 4 subunits. That's the main thing. The 4 subunits of the hemoglobin, right, and which contains heme. Each of the 4 subunits, it contains the heme, which contains the iron molecule, and that's what the oxygen binds itself to, right? That's what we're talking about. So the hemoglobin molecule, that's how it transports through its 4 subunits, 4 oxygen molecules that attached itself to the iron. Now, the heme molecule, which contains the single central iron atom, this is responsible for giving the red color to the hemoglobin, and therefore the blood as a whole takes on the color red. A lot of very, very interesting things about this connection that happens between the oxygen and the iron and the heme. But I guess this is not really the place to talk about that. So we're talking about, let me make a little bit of a summary of what we're saying. We're talking about the hemoglobin. The hemoglobin is made up of 4 subunits. Each of these subunits is a heme molecule, which contains iron, and this iron connects itself to the oxygen. This is what brings life to the whole body through the red blood cells that circulate around the body. Now, I'm not finished with what I'm talking to you about. What is it that's circulating the blood all around the body? Of course, the heart. That's the pump. How many compartments are the heart made of? Yep, you got it right, 4 compartments. So the heart that is made of 4 compartments is contracting and expanding, and it's pumping and it's receiving blood all around the body that is made of a protein that consists of 4 subunits. I mean, this is literally the thumbprint of God right there in our bodies. This is the thumbprint of God expressing itself in the heart and in the blood and in the heme and in the iron and in the oxygen. Let me remind everybody, how many letters form the essential name of God? 4 letters. So 4 letters is a very essential combination of units that express the essential essence of God's power here in this world. But I'm not finished, right, quite so easily. Those 4 letters of God's name, what did we explain in our past shows? What is the numerical value of those 4 letters? 26. The Yud is 10. The Hey is 5. The Vav is 6. The Hey is 5. What's 10 plus 6 plus 5? Yud K, Vav K. 10, 5, 6, and 5 make 26. Now, when you're looking at the periodic table of elements, what number is iron on the periodic table of elements? 26. So The heme carries in 4 units iron. Iron is number 26. The 4, which is expressed in the numerical value of 26, is precisely what the heme carries within itself to bring the essence of life inside the body. It's the heme that carries the iron that attaches itself to the oxygen. Now, let me tell you something crazy. Iron, I'm not going to, get into a little bit too deep of a discussion right now, but the electrons in the iron atom are carried in 4 shells. I mean, is this crazy or what? The number 4 and 26 is so interrelated with each other, it's mind-blowing. 26, the numerical value of God's essential name, the strength, the stability, is all being expressed in the 4 subunits of the heme protein in an atom that operates in 4 shells. Now, let me tell you something that's so special about iron. Iron, which, as I said just a minute ago, is on the periodic table of elements, the number 26. This is a very, very, very special element because iron is the most stable of all elements. It's a very, very special element because up until the number 26, what happens is that as the atoms, they form and they fuse with each other, they release energy, and all of that happens. The fusion of one atom to the next happens only up to iron, the number 26. After that, it works in a different fashion in order for energy to be released. So iron is a very, very, very special element in the very, very special periodic table of elements. So what are we talking about today on today's Physics of the Mystics podcast? We are recognizing that the essence of life in our bodies is an exact expression of godliness in a concrete, in a physical manner. We are seeing the thumbprint of God inside our blood, circulating around our bodies and bringing life to ourselves. When the Torah tells us that God made the human body in the form and in the image of God, that means that the form and the image of God is expressed in our physical bodies. I'm giving you here today on this podcast only one little taste of how you see this literally in the hemoglobin. The hemoglobin, the heme, which operates in 4 subunits, carries around the oxygen through the atom of iron, and this is circulated by the heart, which is made of 4 compartments. Can't you see? I mean, you got to be blind not to notice this incredible connection and relationship between the 4 letters of God's name, which the numerical value is 26. And as we've explained in past podcasts, the numerical value is an expression of the actual energy of godliness. Mathematics and numbers is not just a surface kind of exterior manner in which to understand life and the world, to bring order. The order of the world, the energy of the world is expressed through mathematics, is the identity of energy itself. And that's what we're seeing in the hemoglobin, the red blood cells that transport oxygen. I didn't get into the number oxygen because I think it's going to get a little bit more complicated. But the number 8, my friends, is very, very, very essential to life. It is representing the essence of life itself, because 7 represents nature. It represents the limited expression of God. But the number 8 represents beyond the natural expression of God, the limited laws of nature. The number 8 in mysticism represents what we say in Yiddish, the pintele. It represents the essence, the core, the higher expression of God, which is what the 4 letters of God is all about. So what we're saying in today's physics of the mystics, ladies and gentlemen, is mind-blowing. What we're saying is that when you look at the body and you see, I didn't even talk about the DNA. The DNA is made of 4 rungs, and these 4 rungs of the DNA is comprised of 4 molecules, not 7 molecules, not 19 molecules. And we'll have to leave this for another show. But the DNA is made of 4 rungs that is comprised of 4 molecules: hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. We're talking about over here literally the expression of God in the essence of our life, right down there in the chromosomes, the DNA, the genes. What gives the order for you to be who you are expresses itself and is expanded out of the number 4. Your heart has 4 compartments. Your hemoglobin that transport oxygen and the life itself is sitting right there on number 26 iron to go around your entire body and to go around your entire that's life. That's the essence of life itself. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was my short little podcast for today's Physics of the Mystics. If your mind is not blown by what I shared with you, I don't know what else I can do to ignite that spark in your heart and in your brain to see literally what scientists have discovered in our blood and in our bodies is a expression of exactly what the Torah tells us is the underlying energy to what this world is all about. Please send me your emails to physicsofthemystics@gmail.com. And once again, Hanukkah time, I'm going to make the raffle for the $260 free gift card from Amazon. All the very best to everybody. God bless you all.